let's turn bread flour into protein for the holidays. This is an updated recipe from my Seitan turkey with the skin, with the stuffing. Look at how crispy this is. And it is still super tender and moist in the center. Like, this is just a masterpiece, and this is even better than last year's version. The seitan is special because it simmers with an apple in its center to create a cavity that you can then fill with stuffing. So this seitan is made with washed bread flour, which gives you a way better flavor and texture compared to any product made with vital wheat gluten. It gets meaty and shreddy without being rubbery. It has this rich, decadent flavor that surpasses anything with vital wheat gluten. In this video here, I go into more detail about how to wash the flour, but essentially you make a dough with bread flour, you knead it a bunch, you let it rest, and then you knead your dough under the water until it gets super webby and there's no pockets of starch. This washed wheat gluten soak in smoked sea salt overnight, and it really helped firm up and lose more of its water. So last night I washed the flour, and now we're going to shape it so that way we can make it into a stuffable seitan turkey. I start by making a flavor sauce, which is essentially flavored butter. The seitan is otherwise fat-free, and to get it to be juicy and meaty like turkey, we need to add in some flavorful fat. This is a combination of mushroom seasoning, nutritional yeast flakes, and herbs. You could also add in some vegan chicken bouillon to this just to further enhance the flavor. I personally am just all out of it in this new town that I'm staying in. I don't know where to buy it. Anyways, so I divide out the gluten in half, and then with one of the halves, I divide it out into 6 sections, and I coat each of the sections with that flavored butter. This is going to help us create really nice layers. And unlike what I'm doing here in this video, remove the stem of the apple and then coat it in the flavored butter. And then we're going to wrap the gluten around the apple, and this is again going to create our layers. The apple is going to add flavor to the seitan while creating a little pocket, because we're going to end up cutting the apple out. So once we use up all of the pieces of gluten to create all those layers, and we have butter in between each of the layers, you're going to wet a couple of sheets of rice paper and then also coat that in your flavored butter. So the rice paper creates like a fat-like layer underneath the seitan, and what this does is it creates like a really crispy skin for the seitan that's still like fatty and, I don't know, like kind of juicy, like realistic turkey skin. I've tried doing rice paper on the exterior of seitan, and it's like too crispy, if that makes sense. It's like almost cracker-like, and it's not like fatty or juicy enough, and it's not chewy enough. When you have like a thin layer of gluten over it, like what we're gonna do here, it gets the skin perfect. So you're gonna take the other half of that gluten, coat it in that butter again, the rest of it, and then you're gonna cover it over, and then you're gonna put all of that inside of a stock sock to help it keep its shape. And you're gonna wanna be really quick with this. Now we're gonna add our seitan into a pot of really low temperature vegan chicken broth. So again, because I was all out of my vegan chicken bouillon, which is what you would wanna use here, I did like a combination of mushroom seasoning and shiitake mushrooms. So now we are simmering our seitan. Ideally, you would have a bigger pot than this, but this is what I have with my small rental. And I'm just going to let this simmer where it's barely even bubbling, very low temperature, for at least 3 hours, or an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius yet. I will put that here because I don't know what it is on the top of my head. So we let our seitan rest in the fridge overnight, and today's the day that we're actually going to roast it. So essentially what you're going to do is try to feel the seitan on both ends and see where feels like it's like the thinnest, because that's where we're going to perform our kind of like a C-section because we are going to remove the apple from the center to create our cavity so we can stuff this seitan with our stuffing. Most years I would do my wild rice stuffing recipe because it is my absolute favorite, but because right now I'm in England, it is like next to impossible to find plain wild rice. So I'm just making a really quick stuffing with like homemade breadcrumbs and like, you know, your celery and onions and stuff. So that way I can put it inside of my turkey. So I found the thinnest spot, and now we are doing this C-section, so to speak. I don't know. So you cut a small hole, and you kind of like have to use like a fork or a knife. And I found it was easier to use like a knife and kind of cut the apple out, and you remove it in pieces. It's actually really easy to make sure that you get all of it and there's no remaining apple, because somehow the interior of the seitan itself is actually kind of a smooth cavity. And the apple is also in my stuffing too. It's actually pretty delicious, and it took on the flavor of the flavor sauce, so it's actually really delicious. So now that you have your cavity, you're going to stuff that with your stuffing. Also, just take a moment to appreciate how amazing that skin looks on this seitan. Like, that is insane, and I'm honestly very proud of it. I really hope that you try this. Anyways, so we're going to stuff it up, and then from there, we're going to create our basting sauce, which is essentially another flavored butter sauce. But it is so delicious, and it really helps the skin crisp up, and it keeps the seitan itself really nice and juicy. So at this point, you could refrigerate your seitan, and you could wait to bake it whenever you're like going to be having your celebrations, because this needs to be in the oven for about 45 minutes or so. Like, really, we're just trying to get the skin to crisp up and the stuffing inside to get nice and warm. But there's no risk of food poisoning here because this is completely plant-based. So 45 minutes is really all it needs. So you just coat it in the basting sauce. I will put what I used in the caption below. And oh, yeah, it's beautiful. And while your seitan is in the oven, like every 15 minutes or so, I like to rebaste my seitan. So like if any of like the spices or herbs come off, I just use my little brush and I brush it back onto it. And then from here, it's ready to serve. Look at this. It's juicy. It's crispy. It is so flavorful. This cannot be replicated from anything that's store-bought. This is seriously like my favorite seitan ever. I'm very, very proud of this, and I hope you give it a try. Like, look at that skin. Look at that skin. Anyways, if you enjoyed this recipe, make sure that you like this video and you subscribe so that way you can be on top of all of the next plant-based protein recipes and also just vegan recipes in general. Thanks for watching.